What's up, college football fans and Mean Green fans? Tony Valenta here once again with the Mean Green Show. Today, joined with Miles and JD. We're going to jump into this official visit weekend for North Texas and North Texas recruiting. But before we get into all that, guys, you already know the drill. If you're a fan of college football or G5 football, consider hitting that like and subscribe button because that is truly all that we talk about. Boys, I'm glad we're all three back on the same wavelength here. And Miles, I know you had a brief sabbatical from podcasting, had a cup of coffee with, just in positions where you couldn't really be on podcasts. So welcome back. And JD, it's always a pleasure when we get to link up. So just kind of jumping right into it, Miles, how have you been and everything? And then also, what are your thoughts on this official visit weekend for North Texas?
Well, it's been a very interesting past few weeks to start the season for North Texas, and I've been going to all the games. It's been very fun. Shooting all the games has been very fun. Haven't been as much as a fan recently, and especially with the podcast, with all the stuff going on behind. But I've been good. I'm excited to see if they can bounce back. They should not bounce back. They should win this next weekend and continue to play better. But everybody's been, and this is a little, this is on top of recruiting, but people talking about, Coach O on Twitter putting out how he's keeping receipts and how he's been evolving the brand for recruiting for North Texas, and people don't like that, the way that he's been talking about on Twitter. And, but this weekend's very big. There's a lot of opportunities to keep some guys, and, there's the highest ranked guy in the class, I think is is it
Jaquez, is that right?
Jaquez? I don't really know how you say his name quite
Spradley.
correctly, but he's our highest rated guy so far on 24/7, and he's I think it's a very very good list in Apogee or DatCoop today, and I'm excited to see if we can retain some guys throughout the season. But winning is going to be huge. Winning is going to be a big factor, and if we can rattle off some wins in conference play, this visit right here is going to help a lot with the official stuff happening.
All right, JD, you got any names for us?
Yeah, so 9 kids on campus this weekend, 6 commits, 3 that are not committed but potentially could get some commits by the end of the weekend. The commits are Miles Coleman, wide receiver, Tyler Harrington, tight end, Brandon Young, junior, tight end, Cash McCollum, quarterback, and then the 2 sock kids, Kerry Williams and Brandon Jones, Jr. And then the kids that are targets that aren't committed yet is DeSoto, defensive lineman Jason Douglas Jr., Cedar Hills, Zion Scott, and then Cameron Lewis, offensive tackle. Like I said, I like our chances with both those 3 kids we're targeting. But yeah, I think overall it's a good list, a good mix of defense, offensive guys. I think the SOC guys are guys we don't talk about that much because they committed early. But if you look at their offer lists and their rankings, they're probably 2 of the best, the top recruits, North Texas landed last decade. So exciting group, excited to see those guys still in the fold, and excited to see, coming off a victory. It seems like we found a quarterback. So like Miles said, I think winning's going to be the best recruiting tool you can put together.
I think Dion offered Brandon Jones. Is that right? Was it Dion that offered him, or was it someone else? Because it says he's offered by Colorado on January 20th. Was Dion at Colorado on January 20th?
Yeah.
We need to start checking Dion's flights. He's trying to steal North Texas recruits, but obviously Brandon Jones, tremendous linebacker out of South Oak Cliff, and kind of going back to Coach O a little bit, Miles, and what you said is Twitter. I know, people may feel one way or the other about him on Twitter, and that's fine, but nevertheless, he does bring a lot of attention to North Texas, and he's got commits. We heard in the Rogers interview how he, his familiarity with Coach O, and who was it? Brendan Gilbert, the tight end coach he mentioned. But anyway, just that, South Dallas pipeline and, what Coach O brings to that and the connections that he has, as well as the other members on the staff. It's just, really, it's pretty big. I know in the transfer portal day and era that high school recruiting can take a back seat, and we as fans may want it to take a back seat at times, seeing the success that other programs have, but you still have to have these guys come in that are good and that can contribute maybe sooner or later. So I think it's really important. And excited about the list that JD mentioned off, and kind of want to highlight one of the names you mentioned, JD, in let me pull it up. I just had him. Zaylen Scott out of Cedar Hill. So he's, 24/7 has him warm to SMU, and he also has the Dion offer from Colorado. And I mean, JD, what are your thoughts there? Do you think that are you getting any intel from this weekend visit so far? I mean, we're doing this at 10:15, so it just kind of started. But do you really think that they have a real shot with a guy like him?
I mean, I think these kids, I think getting them in for an official visit speaks volumes. I mean, even if they don't win the recruiting battle, getting him to take one of his official visits to North Texas, I think speaks volumes about the staff. So, yeah, I mean, 24/7 is usually pretty good with this stuff, especially like the SMU connections there. So, I mean, the warm to SMU, I think there's definitely probably some smoke there, but, he's not committed there yet, and he's in North Texas this weekend. So, I don't think it's definitely not crossed the finish line yet. So, we've had some success in Cedar Hill. I think this staff and the DFW connections, I think, probably have a better chance than we've had in years past. But it'll be interesting to see. I know one thing that we could probably sell is some playing time early. So I know that favors in. I know it's hard to compete with the NIL money SMU's handing out right now, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that it is great that he did make it to campus and is taking an official visit. So we definitely got a little chance.
Another name, Cash McCollum, the quarterback who's currently committed, also on the visit. His stat sheet, man, was looking good from the games 1 through 4 with a 75% completion rate, over 1,000 yards passing already, 17 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. You can't help but think he's going to warrant some bigger offers later in his recruiting cycle. I mean, any info on that? You feel good that we're going to retain Cash?
I mean, I talked to interviewed the kid when he committed, and he's a super bright young man. Seems like he's like a natural born leader. And he seems 110% committed to North Texas right now. And I think that, some of those guys, I think we talked about Demps earlier. There's some of those guys you see that commit, but then like they never really shut down the recruiting process. To me, it seems like Cash has. Now I understand if, SM or SEC offer comes in late or something like that. But as of right now, I mean, he seems totally committed to North Texas and kind of, I mean, his thing was we committed when he did, so he could kind of concentrate on his senior year. I know they're working on a three-peat. He's working on a back-to-back state championship. So, like I said, I think to me, he's about as committed as any kid we've had the last few years. So, yeah, I like our chances. Like I said, anything can happen once December rolls around. Coaches get fired, coaches get hired. There's 2 or 3 weeks there. It's pretty crazy in the recruiting process. But as of right now, I mean, out of the list of guys we have committed, I've got him right there at the top of ones I feel most confident about.
Miles, going to pass it to you for this one first, and then JD chime in with what you feel you want to add. So obviously we understand that winning helps recruiting, but do we think this staff can win recruiting battles in spite of maybe of what the production is on the field this season? And do you think we'll have a better shot with some of these offensive guys like Cash, like Coleman, the 5'5" guy? Where's he out of? I had it up just a second ago.
Miles Coleman out of Vandergrift.
Yes, Miles Coleman out of Vandergrift, as well as Christopher Barnes out of North Shore. That's one that I'm hoping his highlight reel is really nice. So I'm hoping they can retain him. But do you think that the offensive production will help retain these guys, the stats that they may see getting put up? And Moore seems like a recruiter. So, I mean, I feel like he knows how to sell that sizzle. But anyway, Miles, what's your thoughts on those two topics?
I mean, you're going to lose some guys. I mean, I think Rod Burns, this is his last year here at North Texas, and there's a lot of guys you're going to be losing. So I think there's more opportunity for play time. I think a great example of that is Landon Sides, the kid from Guyer. He had a catch or two against La Tech. He's playing a lot more. It just shows if you implement the work, you can definitely get some playing time here at North Texas, and that's a big recruiting push because defensively, they got to hit the portal. I don't think you can wait to develop any kids now with high school kids on defensive side. You have to get some defensive help. And if you can put up the same stats you're putting up right now and show that they can get playing time, it's real playing time. There's a lot of younger guys that can definitely play next year for sure with the amount of guys that are leaving. I think it's a good selling point, but it's also going to be up to, what offers they get late, how they play in high school. Who knows at this point? I don't know, but I do know that this is going to be a big push if North Texas can keep on scoring a lot of points and they're not going to flex their NIL money. This is not a thing, but they can definitely use the playing time and other type of smaller statistics playing on the team to kind of make them stay instead of going to bigger schools and maybe not playing for 2 years and then entering the portal.
Yeah, we've seen that. JD, any thoughts there as far as the importance of winning on the field, or do you think the staff can recruit despite of maybe a record that, I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens in conference play comes. But if it's a 4-8 year, do you feel confident the staff can recruit despite of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of hit on what y'all were talking about with Coach O earlier. I mean, Morris, the big thing they can say is, the staff didn't come in here and do an overhaul. They didn't go in here and, kick half the team off. They didn't pull a Dion. And like Morris said in the San Antonio quarterback club the other day, I mean, he came in from a team that won a conference championship or played in a conference championship and, played a very competitive bowl game against a good Boise State team. I mean, Morris would have not looked great if he'd have came in here and kicked half the team off and completely. But now I think that we've seen it play out. I definitely think there's going to be an adjustment. I think there's going to be a difference in recruiting philosophy moving forward. I think we're going to see maybe some more ready to play guys to kind of fill in the back spot. I think there's going to be kind of an exodus, you could say, on some of the roster, some of the guys that aren't playing that maybe aren't carrying their weight. But yeah, I think, we talk about the high school receivers. I think that you can definitely sell playing time because there's a chance, you could lose Burns, you could lose Macklin, you could lose Cleveland. I mean, there's going to be definitely some playing time available in that wide receiver room. On the defensive side of the ball, I mean, there's nothing that says Brandon Jones or, Jaden Smith or Kerry Williams, they can't come in and play day one for this defense just because I think there's going to be some movement on that side of the ball as well. Getting some guys that can play. But the defense is struggling right now. But like I said, I think that once the staff is able to get some of quote unquote their guys in here that fit the system, that should improve. But yeah, I mean, I think that long story short, I think we're going to see a change in philosophy. I think there's going to be more portal/JUCO players. I think we can see that with the offers they've throughout the last few weeks. It's been mainly just JUCO defensive linemen. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the thing plays out. I think it's one thing that kind of stands out to me is I think we've got 4 high school tight ends committed currently, which seems like a lot to me. But like I said on the board, I think some of those guys, I mean, you look at a Brandon Young who's 6'5", 240. Those guys, I mean, they have kind of a position flex. I mean, if we remember, Jacob Brammer was kind of a high school tight end, and then he ended up being one of the best offensive tackles North Texas has had the last decade. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out and see how this class comes together. I think there's going to be a big push to get it, most of it wrapped up December. I know like Cash McCollum, he's an early enrollee, so he's a guy that could be here in spring ball to get some early reps.
Very exciting stuff. So, yeah, we'll see what leaks out of this official visit weekend, and maybe something exciting will happen. But boys, thank you so much for jumping on, and as always, go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.